would you? Is there something you would change?
No, I can't say that it was something that well, yeah, and again, I would. I'd probably change whether or not I had a father figure in my life, but it's not something that I could change. But if it's something that I won't change, that would be it, I guess.
Brad?
Yeah, I guess I would probably change the sexual abuse that happened in my life. And, the impact on it, I mean, even though I was a woman, still, you know, it messed me up for 20 years, you know. So yeah, I would definitely change it.
Ron?
I guess when I was about 12, I would want to go back there with the experience I have now and try and change the child that came into my life. Yeah. The experience is good, but it took from the child I could have been.
This is touching on the second question about sexual abuse that Brad mentioned. At least with both of you, Ron and Calvin, were abused physically or mentally or sexually by women. Calvin wrote about beatings from his mother. Do you think any of this abuse, in whatever form, damaged your ability to have relationships with women? Brad's written some on that. Maybe Ron or Calvin, you could start, and then we'll be.
Today in my life, it's changed. I can honestly say I work on it daily to remember where I come from. But there was a point in my life where, as I was preyed on, as I grew up, I became a predator. And I did the same things that was done to me. I learned it, and I thought it was a way of life. I thought it was the way it was supposed to be. It wasn't until I started taking responsibility back for my life and owning up and being accountable for my actions that I was able to see changing, and it started to be different. So today my relationships are a whole lot more healthy.
My relationship with women.
You described your mother and the opening.
Yeah, as far as the abuse from my mom, like I said, I don't really look at it as abuse. I mean, the things that she did, if she hadn't done them, I probably wouldn't be here to speak to these students with today. You know, but the same way as far as it being dealing with women, I have the utmost respect for my mom. So I probably showed the women that I deal with a little bit too much respect. That's why I always say I get ran over. I'm be truthful. I ain't scared to say it in front of these women. I'm just telling the truth.
Right.
Nah, it didn't affect me in a bad way.
Because although she had you crash behind the bush while she beat somebody over the head, she came to see you dance, and so you remember the love and not the
support.
Yeah. Brett, you touched on the sexual abuse from Rachel.
Yeah.
Earlier.
I don't know, when I look back on it now, it worked, like I wrote about it, it worked my whole view on women, because, you know, I never really realized it was sexual abuse until I started writing. You know, I remember when you wrote me and you touched on it, I didn't look at it, I just looked at it as an 11-year-old, you know, and 10, 11, 12 years old, and I'm with this beautiful woman, I'm not thinking of it. It wasn't until 20 years later that I realized that her, like, you know, being preyed on after that, it warped my view, and I really carried into all my relationships for about 20 years. I carried this view of all women being cheaters and all women, you know, being sluts and all women, it came out in so many ways: controllingness, jealousy, you know, having to always know everything. And I carried it in my marriage. I carried it in all my relationships. It wasn't until I finally started working on myself and realized that. It's not like that.